I'm so happy to be doing this with you.
What? Like, I looked at some of our past videos too, and I'm like, yo, like, we've been really thumping it out for a while. Like, I love the fuck out of you. Like, and I'm happy that's recorded. Introduce yourself to the people again.
Okay. Hey everybody, my name is Coco Alexa. I am from Baltimore, currently living in Mexico. I am a psychic medium and tarot reader, spiritual advisor, and teacher. That's that's me. Come on with you, girl.
Coco, I have not had, I don't think, anyone appear on my show twice. So thank you. We've been vibing out for a very long time together now. Like from a chance meeting to
Mhm.
material to this. Every time I get to do something creative with you, I love it. Like I love you. Like, so I just want to affirm you and the energy that you've brought into my life. Cause like that is really, really important.
Thank you. That's amazing. And I can only say the same because again, like everybody knows, at the time that I met you, I was calling in good girlfriends, and you were the first to come into my life, and you have just been such a beautiful light in my life, and just really a beautiful guy. I think that a lot of our conversations, we always like, I'm right there with you, sis. I'm right there with you, and we just always have these very unintentionally moving conversations. Like we don't like just get together and say, okay, we're gonna heal something today. Like it just so happens that that's just where our conversations go because that's where we are in our lives. So I love it. So thank you so much for allowing me to come into your space and you see your people.
I mean, I love the fact that you speak my language, as I call it, right? Like you use words like healing on a regular basis. You use words like manifest. You talk about concepts and not people, right? And I find myself needing a lot of that type of energy because again, that feeds off of everything around you. So when you're that type of person who's just like, I know I'm always working on something in myself. You need people around you who understand that and don't, take it for granted. I really appreciate that you can facilitate that in relationships. Do you facilitate it in all relationships or just this one?
No, I try to. It's just that's just who I am. I realize like the same, but I feel like me and you are different because it is that like I you speak my language. So a lot of times when we're having conversations, it's like, yo, say less. I know exactly what you're saying. Because sometimes we don't know how to actually describe what we're talking about. Like, we just don't. Sometimes we don't have the words. And it's like, if I don't have the words and you have the words, I'm like, that's it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And it really just resonates. And sometimes I don't have to say anything. And you're like, it's like the things that you're speaking are just right from my mind, and that's what I really appreciate the most about our relationships because that is different than my relationship. So it's like I do carry the same energy, but that is what makes our relationship very different than some of the other relationships that I have in my life, for sure.
Well, then that's a perfect segue to, at least the first half of this conversation, because there are two important things that I want to talk to you about today. The first, I kind of want to continue on our last conversation about divine masculine and divine feminine energy. But then the second thing I want to talk on is this free spirit that you have. I'm probably going to break it up in two videos for the family.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's start with picking up from where we left off the last time. Let me have a full transparency moment. Part of my healing journey right now is being very transparent. as a Black woman, because I don't think we always afford that freedom to ourselves, right? We're so concerned about what we put out there. So the last time we talked about divine masculine and divine feminine energy, I was in a very odd space when it came to men. I wanted to still like love all over them and heal all over them, but I was running out of steam. Tell me what energy you find yourself in when it comes to the last conversation we had.
So right now, I have created a space for men to get free tarot readings. I have been feeling called to do some sort of work for the divine masculine, but a part of me was like, well, should I be doing this? Because I'm not a man and I don't want to take up space, right? So I waited. I actually waited. I waited because it was around this time where I really started to kind of get like, wait, so these guys, they gotta get it. Something's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited, and I was like, no, I don't want to take up space. So I was like, I'm just gonna see if any male healers, because that's the space that I'm in. I'm gonna see if any male healers step up and say, hey, y'all, like, come on, we gotta get on this, we gotta get on that. So I waited. I waited for a while. I even hosted a conversation with a group of men just to see what was needed and how could we move this demographic forward, because the world is changing. That was even a moving conversation. So then I waited some more, and here recently I decided, I said, you know what, I'm not going to wait anymore, and I'm feeling very, very called to do this. I'm just getting started. I'm really curious to see how it goes, but thus far, is that men, they carry around a lot of pain. They carry around a lot of hurt. They carry around a lot of anger. Some act as if, oh, that's not me. And it's like, then why do you get so angry? Then why do you say some of the things that you said? Why do you self-sabotage yourself? Why do you not take care of yourself? Why are you not taking care of your body? Why are you not taking care of your shit? Why don't you love yourself? Because we can see it. We can see you don't love yourself. We can see you don't care about yourself or your family. I realized that some of our families, as we're getting older, they don't have patriarchs. The matriarch is there. Our grandmoms are still there, our aunties and our mothers, and some of us that are in this generation in our 30s and 40s are starting to step up into that matriarchal place. There's no patriarch. There's no male leader in the family to help guide the family. Why is that?
So did you, in your conversations that you had thus far, did you get to ask them why? Did they notice that as well?
I'm not really using that space for that, because a lot of them don't.
Okay.
Like, a lot of them, I feel like men right now are in this like whirlwind of a space. I feel like COVID forced a lot of people to sit with themselves. A lot of these men have not been able to uphold some of these titles and some of these things that they're used to holding that give them power.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, my name is such and such, and I do this. Okay, well, what else? What else? I was saying, let's go deeper, because sometimes that level of vulnerability for men, it's like they hide behind that title, they hide behind their job, they hide behind their talent, and it's like, well, who are you though? Well, tell me more about yourself. And it's hard for some men to talk about themselves.
It has been daunting for me lately when I'm digging deeper with them, right? Trying to combat some of the things I'm hearing. You don't listen, or no one listens to me. So how does that space feel, like perceptively from them? Like, how do you think they're feeling in the space that you're creating? And how does it feel for you in that space that you're creating for them?
For them, I think it's a little overwhelming. I think it's a little like, holy shit. I tell the truth, and I'm a very honest reader. I have no cut cards. Sometimes it sounds like I could be straight cussing you out with love. But I think sometimes it's like, holy shit, this is real. That's real. I've never said that shit out loud. You just said something that I've always held in internally. And I think as time goes on, because then I'll really be able to answer you. Like as time goes on and we get some of those breaking points because they happen, we get some of those revelations, they happen. That aha moment is real as shit. Sometimes those there are certain things that are said to you that you gotta cry. You have to feel those emotions. So I think it's a little overwhelming. I think it's exciting because there's some good stuff in those messages. And it's just like, okay, yeah, they get really, really excited, they get really hyped, especially, when we start talking about business and money, of course,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I think for me it's eye opening. It's eye opening. Because, as a woman, my focus has been Black women,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm in these spaces and I'm a Black woman myself. I know what's going on. But, men so often don't talk about their feelings. They don't really talk about what's going on internally. So we don't really have an idea. We see it on the outside and we see it through their actions.
Right.
But
Right.
to really hear, well, it's because no one hugged me. That's why I have a hard time with affection. Hearing things like somebody saying that this is why, and even being able to connect the dots, just kind of like, whoa, their self awareness hasn't yet come forward. That takes time. That level of self awareness, it takes time, and everybody has to go through it at a certain point. So it's just interesting to see them navigating it and trying to be brave.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel that I know how y'all do. I know y'all like to be strong. I'm a man. And I wanna, I know that. So, seeing them trying to hold it together is also, quite fascinating because for us women, we will if I'm in a group one, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
And somebody might say, I'm so sorry I'm crying, and then someone else may don't apologize for your tears, baby. Come on, we got you. I got your back. She got the front, she got the side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious to see how even other men will even show up for each other. Even just hearing, brother, I went through that same thing. I feel that same thing. That shit hit for me. That's just seeing them in community in that way has been very interesting because we don't see that too often where we see men publicly talking about real shit that's bothering them, real stuff that's going on from all things, job, career, finances, relationships, especially.
I'm hoping we can get to a space where when I say it's sexy to talk about your day or what you were feeling or what you thought or how you process some things, I don't want that to be dismissed. I do agree with you that it is overwhelming, but I do see more men questioning if they have to take this journey. Overwhelming is a great word to use. It's just too much. And so they divulge into the things that they're used to, right? Like you said, the yelling or the anger or the hurt. And I'm like, why don't you realize that those things are emotions as well that need to be processed? Like emotions aren't just happy or giddy or clingy or all the things that you attribute to women. Emotions are some masculine aggressive things as well because of balance. How much work do they have to do since you're actually in the muck of it? Because from my perspective of just dating, talking to my homeboys and my brothers, I'm like, oh Lord.
It's a
Yes.
lot. It's a lot. I mean, you have to consider that there are some people who have not cried for years. So when you push things down to that level, I mean, it's like, ooh, we're really like lifting things
Mm-hmm.
up and down. You have men that just don't talk about certain parts of their lives,
Mm.
that completely just don't even remember certain things because it was so traumatizing. And then we're also, you know, in Western society, men are taught that they can't emote, they can't feel. That does something because we're human and we all have emotions and they're all important. Every last emotion is important. So when you're told that you have to, you know, hold in certain things, that really changes a human being. You know, that really does something to a human being.
On a
So
molecular level, like it just scientifically, some of like the things that you're speaking scientifically check out. Depression is the leading cause to a lot of physical ailments that we in our community die from. You know, I always come to that point of, well, what can I do to help? Because I have that helping and loving spirit. Let me ask you, what can we do? People who care but aren't Black men who see that they need this help, what can we do to help?
I think that that's a really great question, and I've been thinking about it. And for I think for women, it's really important to give them some space because they may not heal out loud like we do, but that doesn't mean that they're not doing the work. I know when my man is pulling away, I feel something about that and I take it personally and I want to come to the rescue, baby. Do you need anything? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I think for a lot of men, and I think for a lot of women, they're going to have to give their man that space that it might be uncomfortable for them, but they have to do some of this work by themselves. It's really nothing that we can do but say, baby, just let me know how I can support you. I think that's such an important question. How can I support you? Tell me what you need from me. It's a simple question. And being able to accept the answer because we don't want to hear I think I need to move by myself. I think I need to move out. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear I think I need some space. We don't want to hear that either.
Because I've been a woman who's asked those questions to my partner, and it's like, well, what do you mean, or I don't, or I can't accept from you, and it's, I accept what you're telling me. It's translating to you don't know.
Yes, they
And
don't know.
so, and so when you said acceptance, I was thinking it at the exact same time because in accepting it all, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly, you and yourself fully and your partner fully. Sometimes you may have to accept that, oh, you worked for the broken part of me, for the broken me, but you don't work for this healed me. Like you said, we got to accept all of that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to listen and to not try to do the work for them. We cannot do this work for them. We cannot do that heavy emotional lifting. We can't do the heavy spiritual lifting. We can be there to listen. We can be there to support. But I cannot do the work for you. And I think, you know, as women, we're nurturers by nature. So again, we want to help and we want to be there and we want to coddle. No, he gotta cry that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
He has to move through that. You can't. He has to be the one that writes in his journal.
Yes.
You can't write in his journal for him. You
I
can't
think
pull information out.
one of the other things that I really liked that you said was space, but not just space alone. I don't think a lot of men are afforded space with other men that's not in a competitive, you know, I'm about to take something from you type of space, especially here in Baltimore. Just fellowship with your brother. There are things that you can say to this man in ways that he will just get in and be like, say less, say less.
Well, from my understanding, it's the barbershop.
Okay. But even in the barbershop, they're posturing now in the barbershop, though, right? It's still a very competitive.
I was gonna say now, brothers, y'all keep saying, well, it's the barbershop, but what y'all really talking about? What are y'all really talking about? Y'all might have you might hear a conversation like, yeah, yo, my girl cheating on me, or yeah, we fuck, you know, something is fucked up right now, but whatever. But you're not gonna go deeper than that. And it really does take to go deep. And that's that shadow work, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are so familiar with, and it is dark, it is
Mm-hmm.
scary. I'm asking you if you can go that deep though with a group of men.
I would love to see that happen. I think it's very important. I think it's very necessary. You know, one of my dreams is to have a space where Black families can come together collectively as mixed units and then break off into their respective spaces that they occupy and talk to other people who occupy that space. Because it's important. It's important to talk to somebody who's walked all, part, or some of your journey differently or the same way that you have. And so it just sucks so bad that I feel like a lot of attention was focused on them, but it may not have been the attention that they needed.
I think it's an interesting time because we are shifting from the divine masculine, and we're I feel like the world is seeking harmony, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of shit to be shaken up. It really, really does for it to get to that point. So we are asking men to tap into their divine feminine energy. It's so difficult for them. And I thought that was interesting. One of the things that came up in the reading that I did for these men, for them first, which was very different than when I read for women,
Mm-hmm.
to take care of their physical body. That doesn't come up for us. I didn't start hearing spirit talk about our physical body until here recently, because for us it's about the emotional and spiritual. So for them it's about that physical piece. Are you taking care of your body? There's no reason why men 25, 30, 35, 40 years old dying, having heart attacks and strokes, and not eating well, infertile. That's a huge problem. We can't have you cannot be 30 years old and infertile already. I need that and I need them to be strong and healthy. I thought it was really interesting that came up for them, and it's just like, oh, like you got to tap into this divine feminine energy, man. Like you have to tap into it, and you have to allow women to lead you there sometimes. It's not always going to be your brother. And if you are that spiritual woman, or if you are, intuitive, is if you see something, just give him a message and let him do whatever he wants with it. And brother, it's like, take that message and do something with it. Don't think that, oh, she nagging me and she doing this or he's doing that or whatever. It's like, oh, we love you. You gotta love yourself though.
It's hard, as you know, to love yourself, especially when you've been forced into a box that you don't quite fit in. If there's a guy who's listening right now who's like, all right, all this shit sound good, but I don't even know what to do, like where to start, like what would you say to him?
What would I say to him? It's not gonna be comfortable. I can't sit here and lie and tell you that finding yourself, finding who you are, learning how to love yourself, dealing with your trauma, dealing with your shit, like, is going to be comfortable. It's not. You're going to break down. That's real. Everybody goes through it. It's going to be painful. It's going to be scary. There's some days where you're going to be like, oh, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. And that's okay. We all go through it. Some of your friends gonna leave you. Some of your family gonna leave you.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be okay with that. You might lose your job. You might quit your job. That you just might have to be okay with that, because maybe that just isn't who you are anymore. Maybe that's just really not what you are resonating with. You gotta be okay with that. The man that's watching this, I would start by asking the hard questions. Why am I having such a hard time doing or dealing with this? Ask yourself those difficult questions, because as soon as you start to ask those questions, and like I tell all of my clients, men or women, keep asking yourself that question until you hear the answer, and then accept that answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sit with that answer. That's major, because if you don't start telling yourself the truth, you might as well just turn this shit off now. Like, because if you're not gonna be truthful, if you're not gonna be honest with yourself, you're not ready.
I just don't understand how you can walk around and not be honest with yourself. You know you not doing that or you not feeling that. Then again, I say this and I see it though. I literally see not just men, I'm not bashing. I see people walk around and lie to themselves every day. So it's daunting. I want to thank you for the way that you're talking about this. I noticed one thing that I do want to ask women to do in my part or the work that I've been doing with Healing Out Loud is stop telling him what you did. Because that, for what my experience has been, is an automatic shutdown in a lot of arenas. I'm not you, I'm not a woman, I don't have the same things. And so I appreciate that the way that you're talking about it, because it's not a them problem. We're not attacking. We're not coming at you. We all had to grow up. You feel me? Just like we all had to stop peeing on ourselves at some point. We all had to go through this journey as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'll just add to women. What do we look like as reflections of the men that we're asking to see? With that being said, like, all right, baby, let that man breathe. Let him get it out. Because if he's coming to you to get it off his chest, that's a special place to be in.
Another thing that is very important is to don't judge. We cannot judge you. We cannot. You can't sit there and say, well, if you start crying, I need this and that. Come on. Come on. He's human just like you are. How dare you? The audacity of another human to not allow a human to move through whatever pain and whatever issues, whatever sadness, whatever they need to move through. So you have to, if he's crying, if he is screaming out, let him get it all out.
Again, I grew up with boys, and I remember hearing, shut up, don't cry. Or, when my brothers are going through traumatic things, and it's like, oh, just get over it. How? And this shit just happened. So, yeah, like.
And as children, like elementary school age, middle school age, where you still may not have the language to be able to say, this is how that makes me feel.
I know I apologized to my brothers recently for the things that, I was just complicit to. My work in accountability and acceptance is I can't ask for you to create space for me to let you know that it hurts and then not hear you when you say it hurts, or acknowledge that you can be hurt in ways that I don't understand or take for granted. Yeah, we all can find ourselves in position of power. So everybody needs some help sometime. And I hope these men do see that a lot of us aren't badgering you. We're asking for something of you for nobody else's betterment but your own.
Well, one of those things that comes up, and this is what I was going to add, was it's about legacy. And that just bringing it around full circle, it's about legacy. Yes, I want my children to have a balanced home where they watch their parents. If they even have a disagreement, they could just talk about it and it doesn't have to be no crazy wild shit. Their dad actually hugs them and loves on them and kisses them and accepts the same from their children and from their woman or from their man, their partner, whatever. Like to be able to just say, no, I watched my parents love up on each other. Even if you're not just being able to coexist harmoniously. Why we gotta argue about stupid shit? Because you're mad? Because you're hurt because I left you? Because you're hurt because you whatever? Come on, can we not do this in front of the kids? Like seriously. It's old. It's an old narrative, I'm quite frankly, it's like one of those things where it's like, we all say a lot of times, I don't want to be my parents. I don't want to be my parents. But then it's like, well, so then what are you going to do so that you don't become that? Well, I think it's interesting too, because we're also in this era of breaking these generational cycles. So if we're breaking generational cycles, again, as a man, we're trying to bring men back into our families. And we're trying to make sure that men stay pillars in our families.
But what I will say, and I will commend Black men with this, because I am seeing a lot more taking up that mantle of being like, look, I ain't had no daddy, so I'm gonna be around for this
Yeah.
child. But if you're gonna do that, you have to be a whole being for that child.
And unfortunately, a lot of our families, they don't know how to function with men. When I put the call out there, I really realized I was talking about this. It was like nobody's really talking about this the way that they should be. This month is Black Men's Mental Health Month.
No, I did not know that.
It is.
That's awesome. With that, I'll definitely try to have some resources linked below. How much longer are you doing these men's sessions and how can we find them?
I am going to be doing these for a while. I was only going to do it for the month of June, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, this is necessary. Like this is necessary. So this is going to be an ongoing free
Yeah.
tarot session. You can, click the link below. Come get this divine guidance. Come get this divine information, and just be in community with other men. Just being in this space. I'ma have my L. I'ma have my brown liquor, and come kick it. Like come kick it with me.
Hey, okay. Okay. I like the brown liquor invited to the healing party. That's always a go for me, but we'll talk about that on a whole nother show. Check her out. I mean, literally, she's gathered me a bunch of times. I know I said don't say that, but she's gathered me a bunch of times. And if she's called to gather the menses, I'm excited to see what comes out of this. If you tried it, if you know Coco, whatever, leave some comments below as well, to support our collective human community as we all heal through this process. Thanks for listening, guys, for that amazing conversation about divine masculinity and men healing, and just how do we get back to something that we all say is missing. So as always, guys, I leave you with a lot of light, because hopefully our conversation showed that there is light even at the end of the darkest tunnels. I leave you guys with a lot of life, because as we all work through it, we all got some milestones to work through together. And most importantly, I leave you with a lot of love, because the love that you give to me, and hopefully yourself, I give back to you 1,000,000 times over. Like,
You're everything I need. You're everything I need.
you are the wind. I need way better friends.